This keyboard is the RealForce87u and it's cooler than the underside of your pillow. More specifically, this is the RealForce87u W55, aka the SE08T0, but for convenience sake, everyone just calls it the RF87u 55 gram. There are different variations on this keyboard based on the layout and actuation force. More specifically, there's a 45-gram uniform model, a 55-gram uniform model, and a variable weight model. The layouts available for this keyboard are the standard ANSI keyboard layout, the JIS layout, and for older ANSI models, they have a Win keyless layout as well. This keyboard is available in white or black. I went with the 55 gram because that's what I wanted, and the one available on Mass Drop. The black on black was out of stock, but I don't regret choosing this white on gray model one bit. The old school aesthetic really works well, especially with the RealForce badge in the top corner. Like all RealForce keyboards, this one suffers from not having enough rubber feet. Oddly enough, there are 4 rubber feet on this keyboard when 8 are needed. There are 2 sets near the bottom that are used depending on if the keyboard is in a propped up or flat position, but there are no rubber feet near the front of this keyboard for the flat position or the flip out feet position. This has been a problem suffered by topre boards for a while, with the recently unveiled Bluetooth HHKB finally adding feet in the front for the flat position. The layout is a standard 87-key ANSI affair with a slightly modified bottom row. Instead of the normal 1.25 keys in the left and right of the spacebar, we have 1.5U for Control and Alt and 1U for Windows and Option keys. Some people don't like the larger Control and Alt keys, but I like them quite a bit. Even at work, where I'm using my MacBook Air, I don't mind the 1U Windows key that acts as the OS X's command key. Yes, I know I can switch it to Control and Settings. Within the keyboard, there is a numpad that can be activated, the numlock key that shares the same position as the scroll lock. There are 4 dip switches which allow you to do a few things like swap control and caps. The keyboard does include keycaps to reflect this change. The dip switches can also enable and disable the numpad, the Windows context key, and the last dip switch is to enable firmware update mode, although I don't think you'll be using this dip switch much. Keycaps included are a wonderful set. They are die-sub PBT keycaps of nice quality. Dye sublimation is a process in which heat is used to add dye to the material. As the PBT heats up, the dye sinks into the PBT, making it stain the plastic. This means that even after prolonged use, your legends won't be fading away since the plastic is that color now. That's a definite plus for this keyboard. PBT feels nice and will be much more resistant to the oils on your fingers. You won't be seeing shine anytime soon except if you're using the stock spacebar that ships, which is unfortunately ABS. On Mass Drop, this keyboard included 4 PBT topre spacebars, so I won't ever have that issue. The cable is attached to the PCB, but at least there are 3 cable routing options, which are straight, left, and right. The cable channels do seem a bit snug on the cables though. I noticed discoloration in the plastic sleeve of the cable when I was changing the routing from one side to the other. The cable is a standard USB interface. There is one small nuisance that has to be listed, although it probably won't apply for the majority of people who buy this keyboard. If you had the opportunity to put aftermarket caps on the RF87u, you will hate the left control key unless you modify the key or the plate. Upon removing the keycap, you'll notice that the switch is rotated 90 degrees and the stem on that key is rotated accordingly as well. This means if you want to put another keycap here, you have either 2 options. Either remove the stem and reattach it 90 degrees rotated, or you grab a Dremel and file the plate so you can turn the switch 90 degrees. Personally, I think the latter option makes much more sense. So I guess you all might be wondering, how does it type? Well, it types quite well. The 55-gram domes are a bit snappier than the 45-gram domes, but there's a noticeable difference in the force you need to press down the keys, even though it's only 10 grams. For those of you who don't have a topre keyboard, this is how I describe topre. You know that feeling when you stick your finger on water, you can see the water tension tighten as you ever so slowly lower your finger until the surface tension breaks? The topre Tactile bump is the same as surface tension breaking, followed by a really smooth downstroke. That's how I imagine topre. So if you ever have a chance to try out topre, try pressing it really slowly and you may notice it like I have. The keyboard works really well for typing, although some people said they've experienced a bit of hand fatigue due to the higher weighted domes. The steel plate the switches are mounted on make for a really crisp typing experience. The PBT keycaps really help the unique topre thock sound, and I find this quite enjoyable to type on and rotate it for work between my RC930 and my GON Nerd 60. Typing on this keyboard is wondrous. In the future, I'm considering doing a silencing mod on this keyboard with either the landing pads or the hypersphere rings, but for now I've decided against it since this keyboard isn't even that loud compared to most of the keyboards I have. If you're wondering how it compares to 45-gram topre, my only references are my HHKBs, which isn't exactly a fair comparison based on the weight because the RF87u has switches mounted on a steel plate, while the HHKB switches are mounted on a plastic case. The steel versus plastic makes for a very distinct difference, which is what causes most people to prefer either the HHKB or the RF87u. If you probe me for my preference, I would choose a stock RF87u over a stock HHKB. Basically, I really do like this keyboard. It's nice, it gets the job done, it feels tactile and crisp, and while the truth is topre isn't for everyone, this keyboard is a good way to find out if it's for you.